Well, we've heard President Obama lay out his plan to put Americans back to work. So will his ideas create more jobs, or does more need to be done in order to help us sort all of this out? The key parts, anyway, are Michael Brodkorb. He's the deputy chair for the Republican Party of Minnesota, and Democratic strategist Javier Morillo. Thanks, you guys, for being here tonight. I want to start with you, Michael. A lot of ideas in President Obama's speech tonight. Did any of them resonate with you, or are you disappointed in what you heard?
Well, this is a disappointing speech. This is like going to see a bad movie and then renting it, thinking it's going to be better the second time. President Obama's failed stimulus didn't work the first time, and this reduced stimulus with the same ideas isn't going to work this time. Okay,
but Michael, forgive me. Could I have predicted that you would say that before I even asked the question?
Well, no, but I mean, I think what's important here is, as an American, I want the United States to prosper. I don't want 14 million Americans out of work. I don't want 2.5 million Americans out of work since President Obama took office. I don't want an unemployment rate over 9%, what it is right now. I don't want to live in a country where there's been an unemployment rate above 8% for 31 straight months, where you have a country that had zero net job growth since the first time since World War II. Okay. That's President Obama's record, and the speech tonight was about his reelection.
He does have a point. I mean, that jobs report was undoubtedly devastating. I mean, it's kind of black and white on that. But you are the president of a local union. Did you hear anything tonight that makes you think more jobs are, in fact, on the way?
Absolutely. Look, the president tonight was in his element. This was the president that millions of Americans voted for, and he found a strong middle ground and spoke to the middle class and the struggles that are faced by the middle class. We have been talking about the debt crisis from the leadership of the Republican Party for months now, when Americans are suffering a jobs crisis, and the president laid out a plan to say it's not either or, that when we come together as Americans, we can both cut the deficit and produce jobs. So this was, it is entirely predictable that, Mr. Brodkorb, Mike, and just like Michelle Bachmann today, they just say immediately no.
For the people who are watching and for those who are unemployed, it is one thing to be able to come up with these ideas, which again we have heard many times in the past. But it is another to follow through. Well, the other, right? So the challenge are quantifiable.
Absolutely. Well, because the ball is now in Congress's court, and that's why the refrain. The president said it best: "Pass this bill." We just went through one of the most embarrassing moments in American history during the debt ceiling debate, where our country's economy was nearly driven off a cliff because people were so dug into their partisan position of not raising taxes on the wealthiest people who are doing well in this economy. It is the middle class who need help.
Yeah. So, Michael, then let me ask you, Congress isn't all that popular right now either.
Well, no, and obviously, I mean, I'll disagree with Javier a bit. The president leads the nation. The president is in charge, and I would agree with him that we're in a job crisis. The president clearly recognizes that he's in a job crisis, his own reelection, and that's what tonight's speech was about. Congress can work very hard with this president, but I don't think you bring the country together by having a partisan speech in front of a joint session of Congress and then lecture members of Congress about how they need to work together.
That was the opposite of a partisan speech.
The president needs to lead, and he needs to lead by focusing on jobs. The true benchmark of what he said his administration would be judged on. We have roughly 14 million Americans out of work, and I would completely agree with Javier that there is a job crisis here. It is the president's job crisis, and raising taxes and spending more is not the answer.
But again, Americans have seen this
record play. You talk over one another. So what is different, Javier, about what the president said tonight? And
he very clearly laid out.
What will people at home see tonight by way of hope when they get up tomorrow morning and they say, you know what? The president's speech made a difference, and I feel like I'm going to get a job.
Well, the speech is not going to make the only difference. The speech needs to move. He called on Congress to pass the bill. Passing the bill will make the difference. And just wanted to make the point that this was the opposite of a partisan speech, because the president specifically talked about these are things that presidents, Republican and Democrat in the past have all done. Look, I understand. Mike's the challenge that he has is that Republicans ran on jobs, and then once they got into office, the first thing they said was, "Oh, government has nothing to do with jobs." Well, that would have been good to know.
All right. Well, Michael, let me ask you this before we go tonight. I want to give you guys equal time, obviously. So that's true. The speech is not the game changer. However, how it is all presented to that joint session of Congress depends on that vote. So was there something in there tonight that's going to get the Republicans and the Democrats together, as I asked our White House correspondent tonight, that will make this bill pass and will make the people at home who watched it feel like they're going to get a job?
Well, look, the United States Senate is controlled by Democrats. I don't think key provisions of this package, as the president presented them tonight, would pass the United States Senate. It's going to take Republicans and Democrats working together in Congress to get a bipartisan bill passed, both bodies. And the president has an opportunity to lead, or he can do what he did tonight, which is engage in partisan rhetoric that doesn't bring the country together. I think both members of Congress, both political parties in Washington, want there to be job growth. But I think this president is unable to lead a coalition that can get that done. And I think the record speaks for itself.
10 seconds. Thank you.
Again, this was the opposite of a partisan speech. The president said, when we come together, we can fix the jobs crisis that middle-class Americans are in the middle of. So it was a beautiful call to action, and I hope Congress heeds it.
Yeah, boy, I think everybody hopes something will happen, obviously. Thanks, you guys, for being here tonight.
Thanks
Javier Morillo and Michael Brodkorb. Thanks again.